My name is Lerato Hamedi. I'll be your program director for today. I'm standing in for Mr. May Hunavis. I am a trainee career guidance practitioner in Florida campus. I humbly appreciate you for sharing your valuable time with us today. Without any waste of time, I would like to call upon Ms. Relebogile Maifadi for officially opening this workshop and welcome us and give us the purpose of this workshop. Why are we here today?
So I am Relebogile Maifadi. I am the intern at our Johannesburg Regional Center, and I fall under the Directorate of Counseling and Career Development. So it is my honor to welcome you all to our time management workshop. So the aim of our workshop today is to assist students to plan their time effectively and avoid procrastination. We're all gathered here today to gain as much insight and information as possible regarding effective time management, which will be essential to your academic journey as a UNISA student and soon to be alumni. Okay, I would like to give a warm welcome to our distinguished speakers of the day. We have Mr. Kagiso Nekwa, who will be giving a presentation about goal setting. He will then be followed by Ms. Celestine Jafta, who will then talk to us more about time management and the nuances of the concept of time management. Then she will then be followed by Mr. Temba Mbelengwa from a student's perspective. So this will help make it more relatable to you guys as students as to how to manage your time and studies more effectively. Then we will have an evaluation, which will then explain furthermore on that later, and then a final Q&A. And then we'll have Mr. Samson Marambuashe, I'm sorry for pronouncing that wrong, to give us our closure and vote of thanks. So once again, I would like to welcome all of you in attendance, our students, our speakers, and my colleagues who have graced us not only with their presence, but their tireless efforts as well. So to all our students, I hope you have an insightful experience that will help equip you with the necessary information and skills to effectively manage your time and studies with us here at the University of South Africa. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy.
Our next presenter is Mr. Kagiso Mekwa. Mr. Mekwa?
I'm the student counselor at the UNISA Florida campus. I've been with UNISA for quite some time, and it always gives us a pleasure to always engage with our students and to be able to share the knowledge that we have. But we don't know everything. We are also here to learn from you. So my duty today is to do goal setting with you. So one would ask, why goal setting? Because today we are talking about time management. So we want you to incorporate together time management and goal setting, because how you manage your time, it also talks to how you achieve your goals, or what are you going to do with your goals. So my presentation is on goal setting. As I said, I'm Kagiso Evans Mekwa, the student counselor at UNISA. So first things first, there is no goal without a vision or a dream. So if you want to succeed in life, you first need to have a vision or a dream of what you want to be or where you want to go, or your final destination. If you want to start a journey, you need to set the destination and then maybe be able to calculate the time, how much time you're going to need to get to your destination. You need to know what you can come across along the way. You need to know what challenges or which route is best suited for you to achieve your goal. There might be many ways to kill a cat, but at the end of the day, the cat should be dead. So if you want to achieve your goals, you need to know which goals you want to achieve. That's number one. Because if you don't have a goal that you want to achieve, you might find yourself going in circles and circles. There are people in the beginning of the year, their goal is to lose weight, but you find them just second week of January, they've already quit on their goals, and they set the same goal every year and they never achieve it. So what is the problem? The second thing, colleagues, you need to have a dream or a vision. What is a dream or a vision? You need to have imagination. See yourself there already. If you are planning to go to Cape Town to have a vacation, see yourself there. See yourself seeing Table Mountain, seeing the waves, being in the sea, being at V&A, or flying up there in the air, going towards Cape Town, or being at Kirstenbosch Gardens, or to those lucrative places that you want to go to, whether it's Cape Town or it's Dubai or it's France, it's Paris, or whatever destination that you want to have it in your mind, and also of where you want to see yourself. If your goal is to be a PhD graduate, have that picture, maybe posted somewhere. It will always remind you and encourage you to look for more. So a vision is a mental picture. It might not be seen by everyone else, it might not be known by everyone else, but in your head, you have a mental picture of what you want to achieve. So you need to have that, which is very much important to guide you and to remind you of where you are going. So when you look at the picture there, we see a runner crossing the finish line there at the time of 2 hours, 28 minutes and 51 seconds. So the runner was running a New York marathon, a New York City marathon. So this is what we are all looking forward to. But is it possible for everyone? How do we reach to that goal? What happened? What investment do you need to be able to reach that stage? Because you can have it as a dream, but a dream without action or a plan it will remain as a dream. They say that the most richest place in the world is the graveyard, because there are beautiful dreams, beautiful designs that are buried underground with people who never realize their dreams. So the richest place in the world is not the mines, it's not the banks, but it's the graveyard. If you go to the graveyard and dig out those people's dreams, we have dreams of people who wanted to end load shedding. Now, if you want to achieve your goal, you need to have clear focus and clear objective of your target. If you look at the guy on the right, he's trying to aim, but his vision is blurred. He cannot see clearly. He knows what he wants to do, but his vision is blurred. Some of you want to become this particular person or to qualify in this industry, but you are not sure. You keep changing qualifications left and right. You keep changing modules. Exactly where are you going? You keep changing your mind time and again. So it is important for you to have your aims. Your aim should be success. I don't know if there's anyone who want to fail. Maybe you can raise your hand if you want to be a failure. If your goal is to fail or not to succeed in life, you can boldly inbox me. I might have a reward for you, and I'll give you a medal for being the failure in life. But I don't think there's such a person in this group. So our goal in life is to succeed, is to be able to achieve our goals, is to be able to progress and to flourish in life. So that is our main goal when we study at UNISA or whatever we do in life. And remember, goal setting, this principle that we are teaching you today, does not only apply to your studies, but it also applies to other spheres of life anyway. So objectives of goal setting. What is the objective of setting goals? Number one, setting goals helps you to keep focus so that you don't lose focus of what you want to do. Secondly, they need to keep you motivated. Those who are running, they know that on the road, there will be people who are bigger than you in terms of weight, but they'll be very fit and having endurance than you. But don't lose focus. Get yourself motivated. And there's different motivations. There's external motivation and internal motivation. Some of us, we are motivated by external factors. Some of us, we have internal motivation that is motivating us, even if there's nothing happening out there, but we keep being motivated. Setting goals helps to keep track of progress. If you have a bigger goal that you want to achieve, let's say your goal is to go to Cape Town, from Polokwane to Cape Town, then you know that it might cost you around 1,800 kilometers, then you keep track of your progress. If you move from Polokwane to Pretoria, it gives you 350 minus the 1,008, so you are left with around 1.5. If you move from Pretoria to Bloemfontein, it gives you 1,000 kilometers. So you've already finished your 800 kilometers. Now you are going towards your remaining 1,000. If you move from Bloemfontein to Colesberg, it minus other kilos. So you can see how far you are, how far are you from your finish or from your target, and how close are you towards your intended goal. And then setting goals helps you also to develop. With children, those who have children or those who have observed young children growing up, there's what they call developmental milestones. We know that a child by so many months, they need to be sitting, by so many months, they need to be standing, by so many months, they need to be crawling, by so many months, they need to start walking or they start growing teeth. So if you don't have goals that you set, you might be still sitting while you are 2 years old, not walking, not crawling, not standing. But development also is part of monitoring our progress as we grow or as we advance. Setting goals helps you to complete the course because you know that my goal is to finish my degree. So with that said, I'm a first-year student. How do I achieve the bigger goal? The bigger goal is to achieve my degree. But first, I need to do the first assignment. I need to do the first reading. I need to register. After I register, I get my study material. After study material, I need to go to claim my life account and my UNISA. I need to write my assignments. I need to submit. I need to get feedback from my assignments. I need to write the exam. After I write the exam, did I pass or not? Should I repeat or write a supplemental? Okay, I passed. Then what? I register for the next module. So it is important for us to note where we are and what we need to do. So now I have a question for you. What is your goal? Individually, not group goal, not a goal for everyone else. It might not be an open secret to everyone, but the question is, what is your goal? Remember, even when we come to UNISA, even when you are doing the same qualification or same thing, but we don't have the same goal, all of us. Some of us is just to keep ourselves busy by going to school. There are some people who come here just to push time, not because they want to complete. There are some who want to complete. There are some who just want to push time. So this is the start. When we start, we all start, all of us, healthy, matching attire from head to toe with your Nike, with your Reebok, with your Adidas. You look like you are the winner already. But are you really going to be the one? Imagine in a marathon, many start, but only one get the prize. Only one get the first prize. So this is where we start. This is the beginning of application. We applied. Some are going to be eliminated because they don't qualify. Some are going to be accepted because now they meet the requirement. Then what? After the start, can you relate this picture from the start to the finish? There's a missing slide between these two slides. There's a slide that I did not put here. It's what we call process. From here, from the start to here, to getting your Coco Gauff getting her US Open, Dricus du Plessis winning his UFC championship. There's a process that you have to undergo. There's writing of assignments, there's sleepless nights, there's sacrifices that you need to make, there's people that you need to cut out of your life, there's parties that you need to skip. There's some reading that you need to do. That is the slide between these two. From this slide, I just went to the finish. Sometimes maybe it's how God talks to you. God will tell you one day you're going to be great, but you are here in the beginning. And you go like, but Lord, from here, I wish to jump here. And it's not just like that. Sometimes you're going to fail some modules. You're going to be hit hard. You're going to repeat some modules and which might affect you. And that make you start to introspect to say, but I think I set a high goal for myself. So there are necessities for goal setting. You need to have faith, believe in yourself and believe in God. You need to have ambition. You need to have perseverance. You need to have patience. You need to have determination. You have to have self-control and discipline. You need to have passion. You need to have hard work. And you need to have listening skills and be observant. If I may go back, when I say you need to have faith, according to the Christian culture, Christian belief, we say faith is the substance of things hoped for. You need to have that mental picture in your head that you see yourself one day succeeding. See yourself not only graduating, but owning your fleet management company. Number two, you need to have ambition. You need to be ambitious. You cannot always say, no, I'll see how the results come out. Be ambitious. Tell yourself, I want to get 100%. And you need to persevere. It's not going to be easy, as I told you before. There are some people who are going to drop out, who are in the same group as you. There are some who are going to succeed. There are some who are repeating, who will tell you, this thing is difficult, it's impossible, but yet they are back in the same thing. Why are they back? You need to have determination and self-control. Self-control and discipline is one of the most important characteristics that you need to acquire, that you need to have. Self-discipline. To be able to delay self-gratification. When I say self-gratification, those who are on Instagram will understand me clearly, because Instagram is more like instant gratification. So you get excited now, it ends there. But delay yourself with the little passions that you get along the way. When you are running marathons or when you are running races, there are people along the road who are giving us water, who are giving us food, some people are sitting there with their price tent, and you envy them. You can even quit your race because you envy them, you want to join them on their party. But there's also secrets for goal setting. You need to be smart. We have what we call the SMART principle. SMART is an abbreviation that we are going to look at. There's a saying in life that don't work hard, but work smart. So for you to have a SMART principle, number one, you need the S for SMART. It means your goals need to be specific. Be specific what you want to achieve. Number two, your goals need to be meaningful and measurable. Don't set a goal that does not have a time and a date or a quantity, how far you would have come. Like I gave an example of a trip from Limpopo, Polokwane to Cape Town. How far you've gone, how far are you left with? Your goal, they need to be attainable. Don't set goals that are impossible to achieve because they're going to discourage you. So your goals, they need to be action orientated. Your goals, they need to be relevant and rewarding. What do I mean by relevant? Don't do a degree or a qualification that is useless, that is not going to give you a job, or that's not going to give you something to look forward to. Already now, you need to introspect to say this qualification that I'm doing now, will it still be in demand in the coming 5 years? Because that's the problem that we have in South Africa, that in the coming years, what you are doing now, it might be irrelevant. So are you researching and checking that you are not in the wrong bus? And your goals, they need to be time bound. They need to be trackable. They need to have start and ending time. So make sure that your goals are smart. There's also different kinds of goals. There's long-term goals and the short-term goals. Short-term goals, they might also be built up to the long-term goals. A short-term goal can be going to town. It could be passing a class test or an assignment or a test. It could also be watching your favorite program on TV, but it can also be making tea. It's a short-term goal. The long-term goal is are you achieving your degree? Remember, your degrees, they start from 3 years and going up. So for you to get to a degree, you need to write tests, you need to write assignments. You need to getting a job. It might be a long-term goal for you, but not for everyone. And getting married. Some people, they want to get married, but they are not even dating. So you need to first identify a person that you like. You need to ask them out. These days, ladies, they also ask people out. They don't wait for the guy to ask them out, and they get married. Buying a car or a house. So this can be a long-term goal that you need to look at. So it is very much important to differentiate between your long-term goals and your short-term goals. Which ones comes first and which ones are a priority, which ones are urgent, and which ones I can delay. So you need to look at such things when you are setting your goals. And then also, how do we set your goals? This is not a blanket approach. It's not one size fits all. How I set my goals might be different from you setting your own goals. Or we might also use the same principle or the same method, but have different results. Number one, you need to identify your purpose. We're starting the arrow from the bottom. Identify purpose or the aim of your goal. Number two, plan how to achieve that. You need to come up with a strategy. Okay, I have this goal that I have identified. Now, how do I achieve that goal? Let me come up with a plan. If your parent told you to clean up the house and to wash the car, you know that you have a friend who likes Coke. For you, the strategy is to call your friend to come over to your house. You get them the Coke in the fridge, and then you tell him, I have Coke in my fridge, but come over. Before you drink Coke, help me clean the house. So in that way, you start now delegating. You start now subcontracting to your friend who will help you to achieve your goals. The last part is to implement your goal. Like I said, the richest place in the world is the graveyard because people died with their beautiful dreams. They never implemented their dreams. So even if you like that girl or you like that guy without telling them, they would not know because you never implemented. Even if you want to become a doctor one day, you have a PhD in geography, in sociology, in accounting, you will not succeed unless you register, unless you write your assignments and you write your exams and you pass. So what is goal setting? In goal setting, number one, you need to come up with planning. And you see the major block there is planning. You need to put more effort in planning than in achievement, because how you achieve is determined on the foundation that you laid in terms of your planning. If you don't plan carefully, there's a saying that says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you need to plan so that you can have a mission on how you to achieve your plans, and then in how you achieve your goals, and then ultimately you get to your achievement. So some people don't plan, they just want to achieve, and then their building collapse because it doesn't have foundation, or the foundation is not strong. So there are steps to setting goals. There are different steps. Like I said, what I'm sharing here is from my perception. You might be having it differently, but ultimately, what is most important is for you to set goals and achieve your goals. It's pointless to set goals that are not achievable. So you need to set goals that are going to be achievable. So number one, you need to have a vision or a dream. Number two, a plan of action. What are you going to do? And a mission, how are you going to do that? And you need to gather resources, whether you need money or you need people to help you to clean the house. And then also you need to prioritize what comes first. First things first, what should you start with? Should you start with the dishes? Should you start with the curtains? Should you start with having a party in your house or not? Then afterwards, you need to take the first step, that is implementation. And ultimately, you need to review your goals and go back to step number one to achieve the next goal. So number one, you need to have a vision. You need to plan a plan of action. You need to have a mission, how you are going to do that. You need to gather resources. You need to prioritize. You need to take the first step in life, and you need to review your goals and then improve when necessary. And you also need to take a meta perspective. A meta perspective is see things from above, from the top. You know, when you're in the midst of chaos, you cannot see exactly where to put what and where to go. But if you remove yourself, more like in a dream, if you are in a dream, you sometimes see things as if now you are an observer of your life or what is happening. You see things from the top. So a meta perspective, you need to have a vision, a mission, implementation plan, and monitoring and evaluation. Then those who know Johannesburg, this is Gandhi Square. I was looking from the top, because when I'm on the ground, I don't see this picture. When I'm on the ground, I'm clouded. I'm shielded by the bars and the buildings. I don't see exactly how this place looks like. But when I'm standing from the top, looking down, I can be able to see a bigger picture. So in life, you need to have a bigger picture of where you want to go, what you want to achieve. But after you see the bigger picture, then you need to go to the ground and be able to implement what you had planned when you were at the top. That is what we call a meta perspective. So, colleagues, there are also distractions to goal setting. Just because you have plans, it does not mean that all your plans are going to succeed. There are going to be things that are going to delay you, that are going to frustrate you, that are going to make you even collapse your dreams to achieve your goals. Number one is procrastination or postponements. Number two is overloading yourself or crowding. And then number three, lack of passion or hunger. You lose interest along the way. Number four, laziness. That is even in the Bible. They say that a lazy person go to the end and learn from the end. Number five, the wrong choices. Sometimes you choose a wrong qualification. That can be destructive and delaying you to achieve your goals. So those are some of the things that you need to look out for. And big visionaries in life, we have Joseph the dreamer from the Bible. We have Moses, the outstanding leader and skillful fighter. We have Richard Branson, the guy who owns Vision Active and Vision Airlines. This guy had a disability. He has dyslexia, a disability called dyslexia. You can Google this guy and check his disability, but this guy is big in the world. But he had a big vision. We have Caster Semenya, who is an athlete who was running, and then she competed in the big stages. We have the guy who was a musician, now he passed on, Swiso Nwane. He was uneducated, but this guy was good in music. We have this guy called Will Smith and Bill Cosby. They are both actors, but they have a disability called hyperactivity or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That did not stop them from achieving their goals. We have this girl called Nick Vujicic. He's a speaker, he's a pastor. He's a guy with no limbs or no arms, but the guy can swim. I can't swim. I have both arms, hands, and feet. He does not have those, but the guy can swim and float on top of water. I can't do that. We have the guy called Richard Maponya. Those who are from Soweto or those who are into business studies, they would know about the guy called Richard Maponya, one of the biggest business gurus in Gauteng and in South Africa. He even has a mall called Maponya Mall in Soweto. So there's also the guy called Petrus Mutsipa, coming from a township in Harankua, semi-rural township, but he made it big. He's one of the big guys now. He's the chairperson of CAF, Confederation of African Football, in Africa, not in South Africa, but in Africa. He's known the world over. So, with that said, colleagues, I just want to say, I'm Kagiso Mekwa. I'm the registered counselor from UNISA Florida campus. There's my email, mekwake@unisa.ac.za. And I thank you for your time and for listening and for your participation.
Thank you, Mr. Mekwa, for sharing the words of wisdom with us. Indeed, a council loses nothing by lightening another.
I am a second-year student. I applied through the recognition of a prior learning, and it wasn't easy. You spoke about vision. To me, I think it's very important, whatever you want to do in life, first, you need to introspect yourself. What do you want to do? And do you really need to do that thing, or you are just doing it because maybe your friend or your family is doing it? So for me, it was like, I really like to do teaching, but not easy because of my metric results, and I had a problem. And then again, thank you for, I think it's Miss Moroke, I was dealing with during my recognition of a prior learning. I think you're gonna hear noises walking on my way to work. So I think as a student, you need to have your time whereby whatever you want to do, first sit down and look at the mirror and then say, do I really need to do this? I really need it. And then it's when you're gonna be like serious, but it's not easy, I don't wanna lie. Working and studying, kids and husband for my side is not easy, but I'm just willing to push and put more effort in whatever I'm doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mematlangu, and wish you all the best. Even being accepted for, through recognition of prior learning, RPL, wishing you all the best. It's possible to achieve your goals.
I'm doing my second year of applied maths and computer science, and what is it? Juggling work as well, right? I at times find myself having to re-strategize. Like it becomes so frustrating that you find yourself having to re-strategize. As you're explaining the smart goals, right? I was looking at it and I was like, okay, cool. There was one thing you mentioned, they have to be trackable. I wanted to find out from you, like, what kind of resources would you be able to share to actually track, or how best to measure your goals and track them? Because at times I'll find myself, I'll plan my time, how I actually schedule my time, because I have that thing of, okay, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll hit the gym, then I do 1 hour of a reading or whatever it is, then I start my work at 8. And then obviously from 8 to 4 or 8 to 5, I'll be working. Then from 5 to 5:15 or to 5:30, I'm resting. Then I'll start studying again from 5:45 all the way to, what is this, maybe 10. Right. So it becomes a thing of how does one best track, or what tools does one use to actually track their goals and their progress? What would you suggest?
We have online resources from our link for UNISA Student Counseling. I will share the link with you just now. And then on the left, I'm going to share the link on the chat now, so that student, all of you can have it, so that you can be able to use those resources or contact us and know how we can be able to assist you. So I just shared the link there that says Counseling and Career Development. We have e-resources there that can guide you on the resources that you can use to be able to track your goals, whether it's for time management, is for self-study, it's managing relationships, because we don't have the same distractions and same objectives. As you indicated that, number one, you are employee, you have to wake up and have a routine, you go to the gym, you do other things that might be taking up your time, but you can do all of them. You just need to know how to manage your time. There'll be the next speaker after me now, because I'm done now. Someone is coming to do time management. So it's going to also show us how to prioritize and which one to do first, which one to do last, and then how to eliminate, because sometimes you might need to disregard others and start all over, or to reduce. Sometimes you've, like I spoke about prioritizing, you find that you're taking too much overload on your work. That's one of the distractions to goal setting. So you are now doing second day of your mathematics and applied mathematics. So the number of modules that you registered for also counts, because you need to allocate time for each and every module. And then also you have a personal life. So when you sit down, do your plans, do your timetable, you also need to include what you call miscellaneous budget. You need to budget for the unexpected. Sometimes you would have planned that Saturday I'm going to study from 3 a.m. until 5 in the morning before I go to work or before I go to a funeral. Then something comes up. You find that you could not sleep enough on Friday night. Then what are you going to do? Because it will be useless to wake up at 3 a.m., but you know that your body can't take it anymore. You need to rest. So you also need to budget time for sleeping or time to rest. It's important. Sometimes we don't even budget time for that. We go like, no, when I'm tired, I'll sleep. But you need to be very strategic about when to sleep and how not to sleep, because we are not the same. There are people who are very effective at night. There are people who are effective during the day. There are people who are effective in the early hours of the morning. So just because I'm active in the early hours of the morning, I should not prescribe to everyone that they should wake up at 3 a.m. to study like me. There are some people who are good from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. and then they are fine. But those people cannot do anything during the day. There are people who are able to study during the day, because some people, like as someone indicated that she's a mother, she's an employee, she got to UNISA through RPL. So it's not going to be the same for everyone. But the link that I shared with you, colleagues, it will be useful for you to use, so that you also keep in touch with us. And you can still email us so that we are able to assist you further, that I don't take too much time for the next speaker. Thank you.
Thanks. This session was very useful. Thank you very much. But I'm a bit concerned when it comes to goals. You spoke about goals. So I'm doing higher certificate in education, not because I wanted to do it. Okay, let me just close this. Not because I wanted to do it. I've been applying for BED. My APS is 35, and all the time when I apply, it says processing. So now I heard from people that you need to start with a higher certificate in education in order for you to upgrade to a degree. So now I'm doing higher certificate in education, and I want to upgrade to BED next year. But the chances are very high that I might not get into BED. So let's say now I'm done with my higher certificate and I cannot do my BED. What should you advise me? Because I don't want to like change to something else, because I feel like it's going to be a waste of time. I still want to continue with education, but now let's say I just don't get the chance to be part of the BED. What would you advise me to do? Because I don't want to do any other course besides this one. I don't know whether I'm explaining it in the right manner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Butle. What you are raising is a common challenge that students have. You're not the only one going through that, because you did not get accepted into the qualification that you want to do. But now you took a step to do a higher certificate. And this step that you took is not a useless step that you took. It's a step towards the right direction and also towards the career goal that you want to achieve. But now, because it's gonna need some more time for us to explain and to help you in terms of achieving the goal that you want to achieve. At the moment sharing the contacts for myself and for Ms. Gloria Sipula, and we should be able to assist you further in terms of what you need to do. So on the chat, I've shared my contact details. It's mekwa@unisa.ac.za, and also Ms. Sipula's email address. So the challenge is that we have too many applicants in the qualification that you chose, education. So there's limited number of spaces that we can take per semester and per year. So the challenge is that we have people qualifying for the qualification, but now the spaces are limited. If we have a space of 3,000 people and we get 15,000 applying, we can only take 3,000. The 12,000 people won't get space. And we also encourage students not to apply only to UNISA, but to apply to all other universities in the country, minimum 5, because most universities, they also realize that they can also do it online or hybrid because they cannot accommodate all the students. So they also offer distance education. It's not only UNISA offering distance education. I know because many people are working, they think they will not be able to attend classes at UCT, at UJ, and VETS and other universities, but they can accommodate you and see how their programs work. So for more information, Butle, I recommend that you can also go to the chat, get the email address, email us with your specific query so that we are able to assist you. Thank you so much. I think I will pause here with the questions.
So our next item on our program is time management. And then our guest presenter is Celestine Jefta, the Managing Director. Let me introduce you to Mrs. Celestine. Ms. Celestine has worked in the management consulting and learning environment for over 20 years. Her responsibilities include but are not limited to the curriculum and content development and training and facilitation. She holds double master's degrees in business management from the University of Johannesburg and the University of South Africa, respectively. Her passion lies within people development, especially in behavioral skills. Personal behavior improvement, specifically around the victim-victor mentality, has always been a driving force in her facilitation. And she views just a small shift from they to me as a battle wall. Celestine promotes ownership and accountability and views failure as an opportunity to develop and grow. Ms. Celestine, you can go ahead, ma'am.
As mentioned, I have studied. I think I finished my UNISA qualification in 2021. Yes. So I fully understand. And Ava mentioned earlier that she is a mom. She is a wife, she's got a job, and she's a student. And I'm sure there's a lot of other things because you're also part of a family unit, you're part of a social unit. So in that regard, you are one person that's got so many responsibilities, and sometimes those responsibilities are conflicting. So I've been through that, and I like what Kagiso mentions. Kagiso mentioned that his productive time is at 3 o'clock in the morning. So him and I are the same WhatsApp group. Some of us have got our high energy levels at different times of the day. So when we start looking at managing our time, those are all things that we need to take into consideration of the environments that we operate in, as well as our own personal preferences. And sometimes those things are in conflict with one another. However, I like, Kagiso, you mentioned something about your passion and your hunger is critical. Because sometimes we register to study for the sake of registering or studying because it's expected. Our friends are doing it, so we want to also gooi ourselves in that group. But then we don't really live up to the expectations or what is expected from us. So that's just by way of introduction. So what we are going to discuss, what I am going to talk to you about, is just a little bit of an introduction and discuss some truths about time that we need to take into consideration in our journey with UNISA, but also all the other areas that we're operating in. Dionisio spoke about, how do I manage my time? How do I know that I'm not on track? How do I know that I'm not on track? What tools are available? So I'm going to talk to some tools that you can use, and also want to link onto some, how do we set time management goals? And then why is it important for us to manage our time? And once again, linking to Kagiso's presentation, it's about motivation. It is about having focus. It's about knowing where we are in relation to where we want to be. And then I'm going to just throw in some tools that you can utilize. So by way of introduction, right? If you look at the definition of time management, and I want to break it up. First of all, it is a process, right? You don't put together a time management plan now and you stick to it come hell or high water. It's impossible to do that. You cannot cast your plan in concrete, right? Because things are happening. Kagiso spoke about unexpected things, crisis that occurs, etc. That means you have to take a step back and you have to realign your time with what is happening within your environment. So it's a continuous process. You don't say, okay, I'm setting a plan in January and you stick to that plan by hook or by crook up until December, because then you're not going to be successful. It's a process of planning. Time management just somewhere don't happen at the drop or at the click of a finger or the drop of a hat. You need to plan for it, right? And then the most important thing, it's consciously controlling the time that you spend on specific activities. Guys, I know more than anything. So you heard I'm in the industry over 20 years, which means I'm way, way older than a lot of you in this room, right? So even me at my age get distracted by social media. I've got this habit of when I'm overworked or I feel a little bit overwhelmed, I feel like going to TikTok, and all this madness that people get onto TikTok will help me to de-stress. And it does. However, it is about consciously controlling the time that I spend on TikTok. Because if I spend too much time on TikTok, I get distracted. I think, oh, I'm just going to go on TikTok for 10 minutes. And an hour, 10 minutes later, I realize I've wasted an hour. So be conscious about the time that you spend. Be conscious about how you have to control the time spent on certain activities. And Kagiso has hit the nail on the head. It's about working smarter and not harder. And time management is one of the ways in which we can control whether we work smart or whether we work hard. It's as plain and simple as that. Grace, do you have a question now? Is it something that I have to deal with now, or can we leave it for later? What you can also do, guys, as we're going along, you can also start putting your questions in the chat box, so that when questions. So if we go, the one thing is we cannot manage time. Time is finite. Time is set in concrete, right? But what we do have to manage is how do we use the time that we have available? How do we manage the activities that is taking up our time? And I think that is the critical area that we are going to concentrate on. So, some truths about time. We all have exactly the same amount of time available. 24 hours in a day, 1,440 minutes, 86,400 seconds. Myself, Kagiso, Gloria, Ava, Dionisio, all of us has got exactly the same time available. But some of us utilize it available. I always say that you have one of the goals that you need to set for yourself is, I am going to register for instance, I registered for a Masters in Business Leadership with UNISA. And I promised myself I'm going to complete it within 4 years, despite the mom, despite being a wife, despite working, despite all of those things, right? So this is me in 4 years' time, I want to achieve it. So now I know that's what I want to achieve in 4 years. So I work back and I say, if I want to achieve it in 4 years, what do I have to start doing today? I am mentoring a person that's working for SABC, right? I've been mentoring her for a year. And one of the things that I actually got to the point where I had to be hard with her and say, cancel your studies. Cancel it because you are not serious about what you're doing, right? You promised yourself you're going to do it in 3 years. We are 5 years later. So when I started mentoring her, it was already. And one of the things that we do, we start making excuses for ourselves. Yeah, but work is too much. But I always say, if you know what you want to achieve, when you want to achieve it, and it hangs on to Kagiso's conversation about goal setting, we work back and say, what do I have to do today? But we almost have this, I'm going to register, I want to complete it in 4 years, but we want to start working 2 years later, which means you've lost and you've wasted 2 years before you get there, right? You cannot store time. I cannot say, hey, out of the 24 hours, let me keep 4 hours for tomorrow. Impossible. Can't also borrow money. I can't say to Kagiso, bruh, can you borrow me 4 of your hours there? You cannot borrow time. In other words, time is irreplaceable. If you don't use every second that you have available constructively and productively, give it up for a bad job, right? Comes back to the conversation around being disciplined. So let's look at why is it important, right? And this is where I'm going to do the quick poll. So guys, what I want you to do on your phones, there's 2 ways in which you can go onto. You can go onto your phone on slido.com. First of all, you can, with your phone, take a picture of the QR code and it will take you directly into the poll. Or you can go onto slido.com and it will ask you for a code. Your code is 1705616, right? And I've got 3 questions that I want to ask. And those 3 questions is literally around how are you using your time? So my first question is, or a statement is, I use goal setting to determine my most important activities, right? So you're going to say 1 is I never set goals. 5 is I always set goals. And then we've got some in between. Yeah, I sometimes do it. I do it most of the times. I do it 50-50. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And there, voila, 3 people already. They said they are 3. So sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I've got 25% of the respondents out of the 8 people, right? I've got 36 people that says, I always set goals, right? But the majority is around 50-50. So we're a little bit lackadaisical about setting goals, right? For our activities. So you can see I've got 25 people that's currently, be honest, because remember you are anonymous. I just see I've got 31 people. Out of 31, 10% says I almost never do it, right? The majority is still sitting here in the middle, 50-50. I got 5% out of 40 people that says, I never set goals. I don't use goal setting. And that is why it's important that Kagiso had to sit and do his session to say, how important is it that we set goals? So from when we start the race and when we finish the race, right, where we have success, what happens in between those exercises, running on a daily basis, studying, doing my research, etc. So guys, I know I've got some people still coming in. I am going to give you another 30 seconds, literally just 30 seconds to respond to this. I know some people might be struggling with bandwidth and, but I think I've got a pretty good response. Now, I've only got 57 out of 230 attendees. So it's actually not good enough, guys. Another 30 seconds, then I'm going to move over to the next question. If you're struggling and I move over to the next question, please respond. So snapshot right now, out of 61 people, I've got 41%, which is even less than 50%. That says neither here nor there. I do, I don't, sometimes, etc. But I like the fact that at least, yes.
We've also posted the link on the chat for those who are struggling to log in or to take the QR code.
Thank you. Thanks, Gloria. So Gloria has graciously added a link for you also. You can also click on the link and then respond to that. I am, however, going to go on to the next question. I'm just conscious of time. My next question says, man, where am I? And now my thing, animal. My next question says, on a weekly basis, I set aside time for planning the following week, right? So what I do on a Friday, on a Saturday, I sit and I say, what am I supposed to do next week, right? So as we can see already, the majority of people say they never do that, okay? Out of 48 respondents, almost half says that they never plan for the next week. And I think, Dionisio, your question is around, how do I do this? We all have different ways in which we are planning, but it's also around, and that's why I said earlier, time management is a process. I look at this week, what do I have to, how do I adjust my plan for next week? And that's why we say you cannot cast your plan in concrete. You continuously have to evaluate, where am I now in comparison to where I want to be? So you can see the majority of people out of 92 respondents that I have, I still have the majority, but however, there is light at the end of the tunnel. 9% of people say, I actually do that. And that is a wonderful strategy for you to make sure you stay on top of. So remember, this is typically what Kagiso says, I'm driving from Polokwane to Cape Town. This is how long it's going to take me to get to Joburg, right? So if I'm now in Joburg, I'm now planning the rest of my trip going to Bloemfontein. So now I look at what is my trip to Bloemfontein going to look like. Then I reach Bloemfontein and I said, okay, what is my trip going to be to Colesberg, to Beaufort West, and then ultimately to Cape Town? That is what we're talking about. Next question. Moving along swiftly. My next question says, I often leave assignments and tasks and even exam preparation to the last minute. Okay. 5% of people say we don't do that. I often leave assignments. I always leave. 21% says I never leave it to the last minute. Once again, we've got the neither here nor there. It's kind of the luck of the draw. I flip my coin and I decide, where do I fit in exactly? Okay. So you can see already, for the majority of us, we need to manage our time better, right? Because we have people always say, 21% say, of 95 people say, I often leave it to the last minute. I always do that. 23% says, no, I actually plan ahead and I look going forward. So you'll see, even if out of the 230 people, the rest respond, our responses are going to be typical, right? We will have people that's at 28%, neither here nor there. And then we have 21% of people that says always, 15% says more often than not, right? So it's quite important that we realize, and though you know how you voted, so you know what is your challenges. Thank you so much for responding to this. Now, why do we then have to audit our time? Why do we evaluate our time? And I just want to, William Thompson and Peter Drucker, look at it in measurements. In the same way. One says, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Another one says, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. But that is important, because if we don't look at where we are compared to where we want to go, we are going to lose focus. We are going to become demotivated. We are going to become stressed. We are going to lose sight of what it is that we want to achieve, right? So some of us are very good at compartmentalizing, but the disadvantage of always compartmentalizing is that we sometimes forget to see how different areas interact or impact on the other areas, right? So a time audit, what I typically says is, whether you do it electronically or you use your pen and paper, is to go for a week and literally from the morning to the night that you go to sleep, take note of what you do in hourly increments. From 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, this is what I do. From 9 to 10, etc. Because what that will help you do is to say, How much time do you actually spend online? How much time do you spend on social media? How many times do you spend just chatting, whether it's a family chat, whether it's a friend chat, whether it's just chatting to one person? How much time do you spend on WhatsApp? I know I spend an exorbitant amount of WhatsApp on WhatsApp because my family group are just very lustig and they're constantly communicating. But it's understanding that I might not be using my time effectively, right? So that's what we do a time audit for. Typical time wasters, especially for students, procrastination. You know you've got an assignment due, but it's, you know what, I still have time, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow you said, hey, you know what, today was a little bit hectic, work has been challenging, I'll do it tomorrow, right? And then short before long, you realize, actually my assignment is due tomorrow, now you're in trouble, right? Number 2 and 3 go together. The one is lack of planning, the one is lack of prioritization, right? When you put together your plan, a very important aspect of planning is also that you've got to prioritize your time, right? In other words, I know what my schedule is. I know when my assignments are due. I know when I'm writing exams. And I also slot in my work responsibilities to that. And I look at when do I have work responsibilities that is going to impact on my study time. Right? So those two work quite closely together. Then you've got 4 and 5, also screen time, right? First of all, screen time, that's just WhatsApps. But another big thing is playing games on our phones, guys. I do it, especially when I'm overwhelmed with my work, or I'm busy doing presentations, or I'm busy developing content, or I'm writing a proposal for a client, and then I get stuck. And then I think, okay, I need to take a break. So I take my phone and I decide, let me play my game quickly. And that I do to clear my mind of what is going, the jumble and the chaos that's going on. So I set about, okay, for 15 minutes, I'm going to quickly play a game, and after that, I'm going to resume. Now, what I do is I literally declutter. But here's the challenge. In that time that I declutter, I also realize an hour, 15 minutes later, oh my gosh, I've lost an hour, right? So what I typically do is I set an alarm. I set my timer. I said, okay, I'm going to play games for 10 minutes. And that's the beauty. Our phones have technology and functionality that will help us manage that. So I put a 15-minute timer, and I know that if the 15 minutes is finished, I'm going to have an alarm. And then I know, stop what you're doing and continue your studies or your research or your writing of your content, etc., etc. So be aware. Another thing, social media. Social media is it's like my son always say, Mommy, it's the devil, right? Because we tend to get so, and for me, like I said to you earlier, TikTok is my kryptonite. I just get lost. And then another thing that Kagiso also mentioned earlier is when our social activities negatively interfere with our academic activities. Nobody is saying you cannot just take a minute to chill. Nobody says you cannot take your children out to the zoo today. Nobody says you and your hubby or your significant other cannot have date night, right? But it is around scheduling it when you're not under pressure, right? Because there's no sense in, you know, an assignment is due tomorrow. You know that, yeah, you are struggling and you have been struggling. But if your husband says, baby, let's go for a drink or let's go to dinner, you still go to dinner, knowing full well that time is of the essence for you to complete. Kagiso mentioned something very important, is when we schedule, we also have to schedule for crisis time. So let's, for argument's sake, say I take a drive now from Polokwane to Cape Town, right? And I have a wedding that's taking place tomorrow. So I decide I'm going to drive today, right? In my head, I'm going to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning and I will arrive at 8 o'clock tonight, right? Or let's say 10 o'clock tonight. I know I'm going to arrive 10 o'clock tonight. I can still have a good night's rest. Wedding starts, because it's a breakfast wedding, and it starts at, let's say, 11 o'clock, right? And guess what happened? There's an accident. Currently now, if you drive to Cape Town, there's so much of road works. You've got stop and goes. that sometimes delay you for 20 minutes. It sometimes delay you for an hour. And that's crisis time that you have not built into your plan. So when you build your plan, make sure that you also incorporate time for any crises that can come up. So in terms of time wasters, what is the effects of not managing our time properly or unmanaged study load? Increased mistakes. We make mistakes as you going along, you make mistakes because now you're under time constraints and under time pressure, so you're not spending as much time and you're not as focused because you're more concentrating on, I've only got so much time left, so you start making mistakes. Also a lack of engagement with those around you that can help you to de-stress, or like Kagiso says, that you can't delegate certain things. Creates unhappiness, right? You're stressed, you're overwhelmed, you become unhappy, you become irritable, and that leads to higher stress level and ultimately burnout and that bad word, depression, right? I have had many people that even I studied with, people that I'm mentoring or coaching, that get to this point of burnout and ultimately depression, and all to do with them not managing their time and their priorities effectively. Okay. I see somebody made a comment that says social media is a thief of time. It is absolutely so. And nobody says don't go on it, but make sure that you've got a contingency in place that says, I allow myself 20 minutes. You know, Facebook, I'm not sure what the other social media platforms, but I know Facebook, you can go and say, how much time did I spend on Facebook this week, right? And guys, you must see it. I do it with my hubby. We do it at the same time. And I will go into Facebook, and Facebook will say, for this week, you've spent 39 minutes on Facebook, 39 minutes. And you go into my husband and it says, this week you have spent 27 hours on Facebook. Crazy. I don't know if the other platforms does it, but that is a good way to monitor and to help you set goals around utilizing your time on screen, etc. So just some time management strategies or tools, right? So I'm going to talk about setting time management goals. Then I'm going to talk about scheduling, and Denise, so I hope this is going to help you. Then I'm also going to talk about leading your study. So it's just a little strategy we call lead. So I'm going to talk about leading your study plan. And then I'm also going to talk about focus and managing your energy levels. So Tabang specifically asked this question, how can one deal with fatigue, especially mentally rather than physical fatigue? And Tabang, this is one of the things that we talk about, managing your energy levels. And I'm going to talk, and I'm hoping that what I do talk about is going to help you, but you're welcome to just talk about it a little bit later. And Anos, if I happen to skip my schedule to study for unforeseen events, what could be the best strategy to catch up on it? And we'll talk about that. Thanks for those questions. So planning and organizing overall, so this the planning pyramid, based on what Kagiso said about setting goals, I'm just going to talk about time management goals. And this is literally around, as Kagiso responded to Denisio, he says, each of us has got our own things happening, right? So my challenge is not going to be Denisio's challenge. My challenge is not going to be Ava's challenge, right? So how do we look at what we are busy with and setting goals where we know we've got our own challenges? I'm going to quickly take you through, how do you put together an annual plan, a monthly plan, weekly and daily I've just combined to help you. And I think what this person is asking, if I skip my schedule due to unforeseen events, how do I catch up on it, right? So I'm going to look at, and then I'm going to talk through potential ways in which you can deal with it. So just in terms of setting up time management goals, I know you're going to get the recording, so you will be able to go into more detail. But I might have a problem with personal organization. I struggle with organizing my personal commitments. Or I can have a problem with prioritization. Or I deal with lots and lots of distractions. Or I just have crappy habits, right? I would, if my friend phoned me and say, let's go and have a beer, I would jump for having a beer knowing I've got something else, right? What daily habits do I have that interfere? using my time effectively, and then how do I manage my workspace? So I can look at, if any of these 6 areas is a problem, what potential strategies or goals can I set for myself? For instance, changing habits, right? I used to have the habit that I got an email, and that email says your assignment is due on this date. This is when you write exam. This is when we've got our online quiz. This is when we have this, that. So I have it, and I know I have it, but I don't put it on my schedule, right? So that was for me a challenge that I had. And what I had to set a goal for myself that as soon as I get the schedule from UNISA, I would immediately populate my study calendar, right? I also had this habit. Somebody was talking about mental fatigue. We think that we can sit and work for 3 hours. Impossible, right? After, let's say, 45 minutes, you get to a point where you're reading the same paragraph over and over and over again, and it doesn't make sense. The reason for that is we're forcing ourselves to work for that 3 hours. You say, I'm putting 3 hours, I'm blocking 3 hours in my calendar, but every 45 minutes I take a break. And when I do take a break, I'm getting up from my desk and I'm walking away. We need to then start changing our habits. So for me, like I said, you spoke about mental fatigue earlier, is like, you've got to set time. You cannot have a 3-hour schedule and thinking that you are just going to sit and work for 3 hours. It's absolutely impossible. You are going to make yourself tired, etc. So get up, go outside, etc., and that will help you. How can I tell my girlfriend that she takes away most of? I'm not going to respond to that. That is a landmine. So look at how do you set goals for yourself. You are going to have a copy of this, and this will definitely help you. I'm just, in the interest of time, sorry that I'm going to skimp on this for a little bit. Now, let's look at our annual planning. I've just populated some. There's a website called Calendarpedia, right, where you can go and download editable versions of planners, annual planners, monthly planners, etc. Right? So I've just given you an example. How do you populate your annual planner? I'm doing economics, I'm doing labor relations, I'm doing business management. In February, that's the date that I have my economics assignment is due. That's the day my business management assignments. Then I've got my labor relations. Then I've got sessions end of April, May, and May again, and June I've got exams, right? Kagiso spoke about long-term goals. My long-term goals is I want to finish within 4 years, right? My annual goals is I need to take 5 subjects for the semester. My short-term goal is now, what do I have to do in the next 3 months? What do I have to do in the next 3 months, etc. So if you have your annual planner, you can now look at how do you schedule your activities according to that. Now, I've broken it down and says, okay, that is what my plan for the year looks like. This is what my plan for May is going to look like. And what you can now see, I've also superimposed some of my work responsibilities. I also put some of my personal responsibilities because on the 13th, I've got a doctor's appointment. But now I also have to think, if I've got a doctor's appointment, this is what I'm going to see the doctor for. Let me give you an example. One of the guys that I coached, he have to go for dialysis, right? He knows that when he goes for dialysis, when he comes back at the end of that day, it's impossible for him to study or do anything for that matter, right? So on those dates, he don't have a scheduled study block. And that is what we're talking about here, that you've got to start looking at how do you schedule your time with all your conflicting responsibilities. I've got an assignment due on the 16th of May, but I also have my weekly sales report due on that day, right? I've got a work team building. Normally when we go on team building, they take us here. Birthday party is, now I know Lucy's birthday party, we know our family, they can go boss. There is no way that I'm going to study on that day. Do you understand what I'm saying? That if you have conflicting priorities, how do I work a little bit better around it? So this is my monthly. Now, how does my week for the 16th of May look like? Commitments, my plan for my work is I check my emails an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. I've weighed that in because if that is what I do, it means my time from 8 to 9 in the morning is time that I don't have available. Now check on the 15th. On the 15th, I said I've got a one-on-one with Margot from 2 to 3, then 4 to 5, I've got a client briefing. I need to go to Lucy's birthday party, and I know it's going to take me an hour to get there, so I have to leave work by 4. That is what we talk about, practically thinking about what do I need to do? What commitments do I have? Whether it's professional, personal, etc. Right? Then I say to myself, I've got my 3-hour study blocks. Now I know on the 14th of May, when it's Lucy's birthday, in terms of leading your study plan, the L is for list the activities. What is the activities for this week? I've got to do research, and then I decide on my priorities, right? Then once I'm done, I also focus my activities in tune with my energy level. So if I've got 3 hours, right, I look at, for that 3 hours, I normally start with that warm-up activity. Maybe that's 15 minutes, just getting me in the swing of things. Or that warm-up activities is literally just, okay, so I'm working on my economics assignment. Here's all my resources. Here is my, maybe that's your warm-up activity. I then start doing my research. I take a little bit of a breather, or I do some readings in journals or whatever, and then I start writing up notes. So you look at what is your ups, your peaks and values in terms of your energy levels. And what you do is you do key or critical tasks when you've got high energy. When you have low energy, you says, okay, I'm actually just going to read through some articles, etc. Whether that is for a 2-hour period, whether that's for 5 hours, but make sure that you focus on activities based on your energy levels. And then the last thing that I also wanted to say, how can you manage your energy level? Somebody says, yeah, but I do get tired, my mental fatigue, etc. Be clear about your boundaries, right? For instance, if you tell your friends, guys, the next 2 weekends, please, I'm not available for any social activities. Don't phone me, don't call me, don't WhatsApp me, don't do nothing. If you've set that boundary, make sure that everybody hold to that boundary. And part of that means I'm not even going to check the friend chat, because we do get sucked in that rabbit hole, right? I'm not even going to get involved in those boundaries. Engage with other people, have an accountability partner. I know for some of you it can be completely difficult, but what I've seen on UNISA, some of their Facebook groups, you know, people ask, is anybody studying labor relations, or is anybody this degree, etc. Engage with other students that's doing the same thing if you have access to them, and have an accountability partner. When I was doing my MBL, I had 2 accountability partners, and those were ladies that there's just the right way. There's no getting, and they will phone me and say, are you spending the time on material? Are you busy? How far are you on your assignment, etc. Limit your screen time and any digital distractions that you have. Plan your time effectively, right? I've got 2 assignments coming up. How am I going to manage my time according to the priorities for those assignments? And be deliberate around recharge time. I think, I'm not sure if that was Tabang. Tabang, you were talking about that mental fatigue. You do have to take time off for recharge. One of the things that I used to do, I physically made a commitment that on a Saturday, I am not going to study. However, there was circumstances under which I had to study. So I had to say to my friends, can we get together? Or I've got an hour to spend with you on a Saturday, etc. But that was my family time, my husband time, my friend's time, because I also just need to make sure that I don't get bogged down with all the commitments, and you physically have to schedule time for your social and family commitments. So be deliberate about the time, and don't say you're going to recharge and you're constantly thinking about that assignment, or you recharge, but you're still just sitting in your space. Manage your workspace also. For a lot of us, your sleep space and your workspace is exactly the same area. But what you can do is to make sure that there is a demarcation, right? And when it's sleeping time, make sure that you sleep properly, right? If you need 5 hours of sleep time for the for the night, make sure that you sleep for 5 hours, etc. I'm literally going to go 1 second and my timer is going to go off to say that my 40 minutes is finished. So let me dismiss that. And on that note, I am going to allow for questions and answers. I'm going to respond to some of the questions that I have. Somebody says, do I think 45-minute break method would work for someone who has a short attention span? People that have ADHD, you need to understand that you need to schedule your time according to your attention span. And when you take a break, you need to make sure you've got a demarcation between your break, etc. Also make sure that you don't get distracted while taking your break. Some of us can even go for an hour. Remember, this is very individual. This is according to what you have the capacity for. So if 45 minutes is too long for you, do a 20-minute on, 10-minute off. But then your study time should be longer. So where I would take a 3-hour study time, you will then have to take a 4-hour study time. So just be aware of your own capacity and capabilities and manage it according to your own personal preferences. How do I make sure that I don't lose focus when studying? Think about what is distracting. Remember, we talk about procrastination, and I suffer a little bit about ADHD, and what it is for me, and that's why it's so important that I didn't get distractions. I would tell my kids, if I close the door and I'm busy studying, don't come distracting me, because if they distract me, it would take me a half an hour to get back my focus. But it's making sure that you know what you want to achieve. Stick to that, focus. If you feel like reading is not going to, then start writing your notes, but make sure that you stay focused on what it is that you want to achieve. Tell your girlfriend, like I said, Tokolo, that's a landmine. I'm not going to go into that. Manage meetings that schedule for class. Sometimes I lose track of which online meetings and when, so it becomes overwhelmed. So remember, that is why, Mr. Mashuba or Miss, it is around having an annual or calendar. When you have an online meeting, also make sure that you've got a deadline. You say we only have an hour for that meeting, and make sure that there's an agenda that you utilize, because sometimes you do get sucked into that vortex that you just can't get out of. Okay, lose track of, guys, you've got Google, you've got your Google Calendar. Plonk everything in your Google Calendar and make sure you get a 5 minutes alert before the meeting is supposed to start. It can become overwhelming, but when you use your calendars effectively, your daily, your weekly, and your monthly calendars, it would be quite difficult for you to lose track. Because remember, you can even say, remind me the day before that I've got a meeting tomorrow, and then I get a reminder 5 minutes before the meeting starts. Overcome laziness. That is all about procrastination. It comes back to what are you committing to, right? When you are committed to something, and that's where an accountability partner becomes such a huge help, because that accountability partner is going to, so have you spent your 3 hours? And there's nothing as irritating as everybody, have you started? Where are you now? Are you studying? Now you can lie to that person, but you cannot lie to yourself. Okay, so make sure. The name of the app is Calendarpedia. Hey guys, I'll put it in the chat box. Calendarpedia, and they've got all of those that I showed you now. They've got annual, yearly, monthly, weekly, daily. You can even just have one day that you can utilize. How do I manage my time between modules, or having the ability to give each module enough time to understand the lessons? Remember, some modules you relate to much better than others. For instance, economics would be perfect, but statistics was my nemesis, right? Or even when we did international economics. So I knew I had to spend a bit more time on international economics than I do on business management, for instance. Manage your time. If you have 3 hours, say, I'm going to spend 2 hours on international economics and 1 hour on business management. But make sure that you also look at it from that perspective.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Celestine, for the constructive information that you've just given us. I believe all of us from now on, we're going to manage our time wisely and avoid procrastination, as procrastination is like a portal. It stops us from reaching our destination on time. I thank you, Ms. Celestine. Our next item on the program is from students perspective from Mr. Themba Mbelengwa.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Themba Mbelengwa. I'm a final year student. I'm honored to be here today. Actually, I'm studying LLB. So yeah, today I have the privilege of sharing. You know, I have the privilege of sharing my journey and experience in managing time effectively. Particularly, in the unique context of online distance learning. So, when I was young, I didn't understand why my father used to say, Themba, time is a teacher. It doesn't wait for anyone. So we must learn from it. It shows us how to value each moment and make good use of our time. So I didn't get that growing up, but now I do get it. Having to attend this time management meeting. So what he was saying basically was saying time management is very important, and he told me stories back in the days when he was younger, that he would exercise, do the garden, go to school, and work at the same time. So what he was basically saying again is that today's generation is distracted, and we should learn to use time. So in this slide, as you can see, in this slide, I'm hoping that we'll be learning the outcomes about understanding what is time management and identifying consequences and benefits of good and bad time management, explore time management strategies, the long-term and short-term strategies, and overcoming these challenges. Next slide, please. So what is time management? In brief, time management is a process of organizing and planning how to divide your time between different activities and setting goals, prioritizing tasks, and making sure you use your time effectively to get things done. Basically, it's about using your time wisely to achieve things that matter to you without feeling overwhelmed or rushed. So Mr. Megwa mentioned how unique every individual is, that planning is important, that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So getting that diary, fixing your calendar is important, so that you are able to see the bigger picture and also avoid distractions when setting your goals. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in this slide, what we'll be discussing are the benefits of time management. Productivity is our first point. If you achieve more tasks in less time, it means that you're managing your time productively. So you have that productivity. And when you manage your time effectively, you get to reduce your stress. You don't have to worry, I have to submit an assignment in 2 hours, I forgot. So you reduce your stress. You have better decision making. You have time to evaluate options. Your focus, it becomes more. You are able to focus and maintain concentration for better quality work. And you also have opportunity to maximize your personal and professional growth. You can do, maybe your gardening. You can go and exercise. You can go to gym. I think it was Mr. Dennis. He mentioned that he goes to gym. He gyms in the morning about an hour, then he comes back, then he exercises. So in my case, I used to go to gym. I love gym. I love exercising. So for me, gym, it was like procrastinating because I love gym. So I would stay at the gym for many hours coming back, I'd realize that, hey, you know what, I'm tired. I over-exercised. So I had to maintain my concentration and also balance, which is our point number 6. Balancing, it makes sure that you allocate your time and work and hobbies and relationships. Sometimes there was someone on the comments who was asking, how do I tell my girlfriend that she wastes my time because I spend most of my time with her. So basically, this is about that. You have to balance your hobby. You have to know, it's okay, I have a girlfriend, I see her maybe at this time. I have to tell her, hey, I'm studying now. And also our last point is about goal achievement. You have to set and track progress. Most of these things have been said in the presentation, so I'm just going to do them briefly. And also it's good for your reputation. You are seen as reliable and organized. Imagine maybe you have a plan, you have to submit an assignment and you didn't write your assignment, you didn't even submit. Your lecturer is going to say, hey, this one is not organized, is not reliable. That's why we get those zeros. Yeah, next slide, please. So on this slide, we'll be discussing the consequences of poor time management. So when you're unable to manage your time, basically on the first point, as you can see, your productivity, it gets decreased. Your tasks, they take longer to complete. You might find out where you have one assignment, but every time maybe you read one paragraph and you be like, I'm tired. Then you start playing games, or you go to TikTok. Maybe you say, nah, I want to go to TikTok 10 minutes, then jiggy, it's 2 hours. So it's good to manage your time. When you are unable to manage your time, you get increased stress, you feel overwhelmed because at some point you have 5 assignments which you are submitting in the same week and you even started one, right? And also it affects your quality of work. Your work becomes very poor, like it's poor quality, it gets rushed and incomplete. And also you get strained relationships. It's that let's go back to the girlfriend example, whereby maybe if you had managed your time properly, you would have time to spend with your girlfriend or your wife or your husband or boyfriend. But now you don't have time because you have 5 assignments to submit in one day and you won't be able to see them. Or maybe it's Valentine and you were supposed to submit on maybe the due date is the 14th, but you were supposed to submit on the 13th because on the 14th you have to take your girlfriend out to dinner or lunch. So yeah, these are the consequences of poor time management. Next slide, please. So since while I'm sharing my personal experience with school and how I managed my time, these are the 3 techniques that I actually used. I didn't even know that they have names, but while doing my researches, I was like, this is me. So the first one is the Pomodoro technique. Basically, the Pomodoro technique, it's about breaking down your study sessions into focused intervals followed by short breaks, this is what I do very often. I break my study sessions. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to study in the morning, maybe from 8 to 10, then I'm going to rest for an hour. Then from 12 to 1, I study again, I rest, just like that. I break down my study session, whether I'm going to study 1 module in that day or it's going to be 2 modules, it will be as planned according to that day. Then the second one is time blocking. I allocate specific time or time slots for different tasks and subjects throughout the day. So this it goes hand in hand with the Pomodoro technique. And the third one is the Eisenhower matrix, which is whereby you prioritize tasks based on the agency or importance to manage work efficiency, right? So if I have an assignment to submit on a Friday and I have another assessment to submit the following week, obviously I'm going to prioritize the assignment that I'm doing this week, right? So yeah, these are the 3 time management strategies that I use. I hope they, someone will be able to use these strategies. You can go on Google and check other ones. So adapting to challenges. Adapting to challenges, I'm going to tell you a background story of my own. When I was a fresh first year student at UNISA back then, we were provided with a bulky year planner. Yes, a physical year planner that perfectly fit on my desk. Today, I'm learning how to use my Outlook calendar. I heard that some use the Google Calendar. It's portable. It's always on my device. The best part is that I can set reminders and notification. It's, hey, Baba, wake up. You have a presentation 10 o'clock, or you have an assignment that you have to submit tomorrow. And with this, you can set your notification according to your preference, whether you can say, notify me within 5 minutes or a day before. So I had a strategy that I used in the early days. I adopted a very unique strategy to absorb my study material, since we hardly have time, right? I turned my notes, study guides, and even past question papers into audio recordings. It was like having my own podcast, which I could listen to while commuting or wherever I could put my headphones on. This allowed me to immerse myself in my studies, even during mundane activities like traveling in public transport. So I used that time whereby maybe if I have to go to the library, going to the library, it takes an hour. So that hour I would be studying, but using my headset, right? So of course, the journey wasn't without its challenges. There's load shedding. Those infamous electricity cuts became a regular handle. However, my determination to stay on track led me to download all my study materials and guides at the earliest opportunity or at first instance, making them accessible even during power outages. I had to be flexible in my study routine. Sometimes you plan, but it doesn't go according to plan. Semesters at UNISA can be quite different. So I learned to be flexible, like waking up early, incorporating exercises in my routine, ensuring not to exhaust myself were crucial. And sometimes a simple walk served both as a break and a moment of reflection on how I can tackle the challenges in the next day or in the next week. And what's interesting, from my side, I was studying from a place known Soshanguve. Hopefully, maybe there's someone here who studies from Soshanguve. I must mention that it's a township, specifically an area known as Jugu Lane. This place it has been trending, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons. So the realities of my environment added an extra layer of complexity to my academic journey. You find that I'm studying and my neighbor is having a house party. So I had to travel, go to the library, sometimes, stuff like that. Then some of the strategies I have shared with you, the Pomodoro, all those strategies, they worked for me. So I had also a prioritization technique, having both academic and personal commitments. Prioritization became my guiding compass. finding and focusing on tasks based on agency and importance allowed me to navigate through the demands of the day. So having an effective plan also became my ally. Creating a study schedule that I didn't use all the time, that considered deadlines, exam dates, allowed me to stay organized. Tools like the to-do list, there are certain apps which are very crucial so that they can help you to keep track, right? You can go on Google and just check, like which apps can I use to help me manage my time effectively. So time blocking, which I've mentioned, was also one of my technique. This one actually it significantly boosted my productivity, and allocating time slots for different tasks, it really helped me maintain and prevent the feeling of being overwhelmed, because I knew waking up today, I'm going to study philosophy, I'm going to study maybe medical law. That's what I knew. I can't go and study something else. I'll be going off track, right? So balancing my studies with personal life it was very vital. Setting realistic goals, engaging in hobbies, maintaining a healthy social life were integral components like of my strategy. Ms. Celestine mentioned that social media can be time consuming. So about a year ago, I was like, you know what, social media is actually time consuming for me. I deleted my Instagram, I deleted my WhatsApp, my Facebook, all those social media apps. I deleted them so that I can focus. Well, right now I do have, a few, but I know how to manage my time. I actually have a time limit set on my phone that tells me, hey, it's been 15 minutes and you've been on TikTok. Then I get out. Then, yeah, in adapting to online learning posed its very own challenges. Some students are new. You're a first year student and you're studying online. You're used to having a teacher or a lecturer in front of you who's going to tell you what to do. So here you're your own man, you're your own man or your own woman. So you have to wake up every day and say, hey, I have to do this, right? Some are working, some are unemployed students. So it's very unique. Everyone is very unique. So when it comes to time management, it's something that you have to do it over and over and over again. It changes all the time. In conclusion, my journey at UNISA has been it has been a series of adaptations, overcoming challenges, finding a balance between studies and life. I hope that as you embark on your own academic endeavors, you remember that you are not alone. You can utilize the resources available and communicate effectively to stay resilient in the face of these challenges. Oh, yeah. So it was very brief. Thank you for your time. I'm open to any questions if you have any, and best of luck to your academic journey.
Colleagues and fellow students, now is the next item in our program is question and answer session.
Thanks for the session. I just wanted to find out, is it more possible to have more of study material on like YouTube or on the website on UNISA itself for certain modules? Like, I mean, if I think of what the previous person was saying, that he had his own podcast, so to speak, reading back to himself. I mean, it'd be useful if there were more of those things that we can actually go and access either on YouTube or on the UNISA website resource site. Or
he mentioned about searching and Googling apps and downloading apps that will help in managing our time and how to study and so on. So I would like that he can give us at least some of that he has used that he can recommend rather than us just going, and because probably there are a lot of apps that are there and it will just create more frustration. So at least a recommendation will do.
Well, first, I'd like to give an answer to Josephine. Actually, I think it depends on the course you're doing and also the modules that you have. With my experience, there were actually a few modules that had YouTube channels. As a law student, I know that there's one with civil procedure. I know there's one with trials and litigation and banking law. So you can just go on your YouTube and type in your module code and you can get that. Or what you can do again, you can just email your lecturers. Sometimes it just happens that they have videos or archives of their classes that, like, lectures that they had, then they can make them available to you. And in answering the questions about apps, well, there are many apps out there, and I know, like, it might create some frustration by not knowing which one you can use. But the one that I find effective at the moment is the one which, like, it's recommended by UNISA, which is Outlook, where you can access your emails, you can access the calendar. That's the app that I use at the moment. And also, I've shared my email on the chat, so you can email me and I can make a list for you, which apps I used, then I can send them to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? I'm open to any other question.
I think we also have a hand from Vitepo. You may proceed, Vitepo. Ask your question. Please unmute.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, Vitepo, we can hear you.
All right, thank you so much for this presentation. My question is regarding, I heard you guys speak about the allocation of student mentors. How do we go about that? How do we get a student mentor? Hello?
Yes, Vitepo, we had your question. How do you get
Right.
allocated to student mentor?
Yes.
We have a pool of student mentors available. So it depends on the qualification that you're doing and the modules that you are in need of to be assisted with. Because Florida, we are responsible for the law students, and then the other campuses are responsible for different qualifications. So because mostly the service is done online, you send us your query either to me and to Gloria, then we'll be able to connect you with a mentor relevant for your qualification, whether they are based in Sunnyside or Joburg, it doesn't matter, they should be able to assist you. So you can send us the email to myself and to Gloria, and then we will be able to connect you with a mentor.
Sorry, Kagiso, there is a link which has been shared on the chat. You can click on that link. I just shared it again. That says Student Mentor Advert 2024. You click on the link. It will open for you the different colleges that we are having. You click according to your college. If you're doing education, you click the one that says College of Education or SEDU, and then a mentor is going to be allocated to you. But you have to complete the form. So you have to complete the attached link link. It's on the chat.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
My question is, I have a concern. I was able to register a few modules earlier on, and those are done. But then I'm unable to add any more modules. It's talking about you assisted by, or your modules were registered by a licensee and that I need to contact them. I've tried sending various emails with no response. Who would be the best, or which department would be the best to approach with regards to that? I saw somebody on chat responded with some sort of, the policies around it, but I don't think any of those apply to me.
Which qualification are you doing?
It's applied maths and computer science.
Okay, you can email it to myself and Laura, then we should be able to forward to the student advisors that deals with registration for CSET qualifications.
Okay.
I would just like to say that thank you to all our speakers for sharing with us this insightful information, and we hope that going forward we will use it, especially now that in 2 months' time we will be busy preparing for our exams. So we thank you so much for sharing with us the information that you have, and also to our colleagues who have been working behind the scenes to make sure that this workshop is a success. Thank you so much. And our student mentor, we know that we grabbed you last minute to say, please come do the presentation, and you were available to do this. We thank you for this. And our students who are our guests of honor for today, we thank you so much for attending, and we hope that whatever that it is that was said today, that was shared with us, will be able to take it and use it for our own benefit, because as they say that, you can't you can't get back your time that has already been wasted. Once it's wasted, it's gone. So going forward, we'll make proper decisions and when it comes to our time. So without any waste of time, thank you so much and enjoy your day further. Thank you, everyone. Bye, everyone.